He's got all the power. He lives on a fucking compound.
Mm-hmm.
His daughter is getting married off. It's a happy event. His kids are all going to be rich. He's rich as fuck. People are coming in there asking him a favor on their wedding day. This is someone who came, as we would later find out, came to this country alone without anyone.
Yep.
What's up, guys? If you're not...
You've seen The Godfather then, right? And he's like, no, I haven't seen it.
Dude.
He's like, it's not really my thing. You know, I don't really like mob stuff like that. I'm like, listen, I don't care if you don't like mob stuff, right? It is one of the greatest, if not the greatest movie ever made.
Yep.
And if you want to be a director, there is no way that you can not watch The Godfather. So he's like, all right, fine. I think my dad has it on DVD or whatever. I'll watch it this weekend. I'll tell you what I think on Monday.
You shouldn't be allowed in film school.
He comes back and he's like, that was the greatest movie I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, I know. He's like, the casting, I know. The lighting, I know. The story structure, I know. Yeah. So it's hard to debate that The Godfather isn't the greatest movie ever made. You know, you give Citizen Kane its credit, for the influence.
Of course.
But
you're right.
The Godfather it's a masterpiece.
All right. Well, I'm glad we can be friends because we agree. Indeed. I've seen that movie 1,000 times, literally. Mm-hmm. But like, it's funny. I am going to call out someone by name. I had to make Danny Jones, my good friend who runs the Danny Jones podcast, watch it. Whose literal career was made on the fact that he was a cinematographer and filmmaker and a fucking genius one at that. Yeah. And he'd be like, oh, I'm not watching The Godfather. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, wow.
I finally made him watch it. And, he loved it. But he's like, yeah, it was good. I'm like, shut the fuck up.
He played it off.
It's the bit. Like, he was definitely like, beating off to that in there. But it is true.
I get it. If you don't like mob stuff, you're not going to gravitate toward a mob movie. But if you're a film person, you got to watch the movie,
Forget that for a minute, though. You're making my point for me because it's not a mob movie.
Oh,
it
no.
is.
Yeah,
it is. But when I was originally bringing this up, the reason I was saying it is because I was talking about how art can be a lens into ourselves through a fictional reality. Mm-hmm. The movie The Godfather, trilogy is based on the dark side of the American dream. Yeah. It is a symbol for capitalism gone wrong.
You know what I like to call that series? I think an alternate name for the Godfather trilogy should be The Tragedy of Michael Corleone.
And they almost named it that, the third movie.
Oh, did they? Really?
Yeah, they almost.
I didn't know that.
They almost named the third movie The Death of Michael Corleone.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. But and that's also like
they should have.
That like another name for Star Wars, for example, is like the tragedy of Anakin Skywalker. Is pretty much what Star Wars. And Godfather is the tragedy of Michael Corleone because it's really this kid who goes from being a promising college student war hero who gets sucked into this criminal lifestyle and becomes this kingpin and eventually he pays for it dearly at the end. He's already paid for it dearly in many ways by like killing his brother and all that stuff. But and I will say whatever you want about The Godfather 3. Like, people say it's the weakest in this, and it is. It is the weakest of the three. But that last scene, the second to last scene with Michael screaming on the steps, that is one of the greatest scenes in film history.
Yes.
Say whatever you want about Godfather 3, but that moment of just pure human pain and emotion, it was heartbreaking and amazing.
Oh my God. Yeah. When he's silent.
Oh yeah.
Oh! Yeah. Just, dude.
Mm-hmm. It was like everything he'd ever done in his life.
It came out.
It just everything.
You know in the Green Mile when John Coffey would suck out all the evil from someone, and then he'd lean back and the literal imagery of it would come out. Mm-hmm. And this is before the Green Mile. Yeah. That's exactly like he couldn't. Michael Corleone was so. He had done himself in finally so badly that he couldn't even make a sound, and then finally it was like God said, "Okay, you can make a sound now," and it just comes out. And like Al Pacino's one of, if not my favorite actor of all time, so like I love watching that. But you look at this. There's two layers to it because we're gonna get to Michael Corleone, because that is who the series is about, despite the lasting image. And it's not like Al's overlooked. I mean, he got nominated in the movies.
Vito Corleone,
right? Yeah. Vito Corleone though is unique though because they made him a good guy. Yeah. They made him, or I should say, they made him feel like a good guy. Yep. You had this dude who's this moral man who believes in justice, but not the justice of the American government.
That's a great impression.
Thank you.
That's a great impression.
But, he's like your grandfather. He's soft. He's not quick to kill. He's based on logic and reason.
Yeah.
Vengeance is one of them, but it's vengeance where it's eye for an eye, right? We see that very well in Godfather 2. And so we see him build it like the movie The Godfather opens up with the culmination of the American dream. You got the guy who came, Vito Corleone. He's got all the power. He lives on a fucking compound. His daughter is getting married off. It's a happy event. His kids are all going to be rich. He's rich as fuck. People are coming in there asking him a favor on their wedding day. This is someone who came, as we would later find out, came to this country alone without anyone, family dead, not a pot to piss in, had smallpox, so he still speaks weird, and yet he's a king. He's a god. Yeah. Right? And then the series shows how the sin that maybe we don't recognize in him lives out through his son, who then he may get riches, but that man literally dies alone. Spoiler alert, but like if we're spoiling this, that's a you problem.
Yeah, it's been out since the 70s, 80s.
But like,
long time coming.
Vito Corleone. Have you done a video on him?
Not yet. Yeah.
Let's do the first preview right now.
I was just going to say, one of the most damning things about Vito Corleone, I could say, is to look at not necessarily who he is most of the time, but who he employs. And your restaurant over here that's named after him, Luca Brzi.
Oh, yeah.
And so, have you read the book, the Godfather book?
There's a bear shit in the woods.
Okay, I'm just making sure. I don't know. I'm just making
I've
sure.
I've read the whole series.
So, you remember the scene with the Luca and the prostitute? What he does when she brings him his kid?
Yes, remind me. I've read the book about 3 times. I'm embarrassed. I can't remember that fully, but it's going to come to me.
It's so he has relations with a Irish prostitute.
Yes, I remember.
And when Michael's in Italy, this old lady's telling him the story about how when the baby was born, she delivered the baby, and she brought Luca and said, "Here's your child." And he said, "I don't want to get rid of it." And she was like, "No, you do that if that's what you want to do." And he took that baby and he threw it in a furnace.
Yes.
And Vito Corleone was aware of this man, used this man as best he could. That was his top enforcer. And that's a bad thing right there, enforcer,
Only man he ever feared.
But he was, and he was willing to use that man, to have that man be a part of his structure and his organization, and his success was Luca Brzi, the man who threw a baby in a furnace because it was an abomination born from an Irish prostitute and an Italian.
Do you think he justified his logic in that to try to say that the ends justify the means? If I'm doing things that I believe restore justice to my community and my people who don't get justice right now and are spit on by the authorities and stuff like that. Yeah. If I have to break a few legs to, crack the nut here. Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what he thought. Part of it.
And is that pure evil?
No, it's not pure evil, but it's evil. I don't want to call it pure evil, and the thing about men like him in his position is he needed people like that. You don't get to be Vito Corleone without a killer like Luca Brzi. You can, it doesn't have to be someone who's throwing babies in furnaces, but you need killers. It's not like Vito built his empire on comments and nice wishes. Hi, how you doing? No, it's give me what I need and what I want. That's right. And like the deal with the
band leader,
the story with the band leader, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Your brains are your signature. Yep. Be on the contract.
Yep. So is it pure evil? No, it's not pure evil, but he's evil. Yeah.
But he doesn't. My God, is he? It's almost like a problem because it's a mobster, but you love him.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's not like Tony Soprano where you recognize, God, this guy's so fucked up.
Right.
With Vito, it's like, that makes sense. That was a good speech. That was great.
A personality goes a long way.
Yes. And he has such a soft, again, he looks like your grandfather, but like you said, perfectly. Mm-hmm. And you've already made the move, the breakdown on this one. I think it's about 40 minutes long. Would highly recommend the video. We'll put it in the description. But the series is about Michael Corleone. Mm-hmm. And to me, there are 3 main things that break Michael Corleone. Mm. Okay, the first, and they do it like the first one seems in a way normal enough. I'm going to hesitate to use that word. And then the next two are not. First one is he goes to war and has to kill men.
Right.
And he gets, he was the kid who was trying to break free of his family. Wanted nothing to do with the business, wanted to get away from his father. That's why he volunteered to go to war.
Right.
To fight the peasant Avanti, aren't going to do anything for you, which his father hated him for. Or hated that he did that, I should say.
You're right.
The second one, though, is when he kills Sollozzo.
Yeah.
So his father almost gets gunned down, and he decides, oh, I'm in now. Those skills I learned in war, I'm putting that to work. You come at my father, you come at my family, you're coming at my I will fucking kill you.
Yep.
I will look you in the eyes, and I will blow you the fuck away and not think twice.
Yeah.
And that hardens a guy to a point. And that's where you kind of, that scene where you see Don Corleon coming home and he's like, Michael, that's Michael. And they tell him what he did and he shoos him off because he's like, that's not for him.
Yeah.
That's not, because he knows he crossed that Rubicon that he crossed himself.
Yeah.
And then the third one is when Apollonia dies.
Yeah.
Once he gets double crossed and he meets this young love of his life.
Yep.
She still has a fucking shoe store in Rome, by the way, that girl.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Simonetta Stefanelli. She literally is like around.
That's cool.
But I think she still has it. But like he sees that she gets blown up by someone that he was supposed to trust, who was right in his inner circle.
Right.
And, there's deleted scenes that show both his reaction to that when he wakes up and comes to because he was knocked out in the blast, and also from Godfather 2 where they found Fabrizio, who crossed him.
Yeah.
And he killed that motherfucker.
Yeah.
And you see that once, like, any light that was left in his eyes, like that light we saw when he's looking at Apollonia, is gone, is turned out. When he comes and looks at Kay, he looks at Kay as a fucking, you're going to breed my children for me.
Right.
That's it. Thank you for watching the video, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.